William and I are absolutely delighted to be with you here in Birmingham on World Mental Health Day for our Royal Foundation Youth Forum. Mental health is something we both care deeply about.
Catherine, Princess of Wales, has traditionally been seen as serene and faultless. The potential queen consort, a mother of three, is an exquisite emblem of stability in a turbulent royal dynasty. But on the morning of July 8, 2025, something shattered that flawless facade. As worldwide headlines burst with the revelation of a hidden fourth child, Catherine was allegedly in tears, not from joy, but from the emotional toll of bringing that kid into the world. According to palace insiders and sources close to the royal medical staff, the world has only recently learned what a select few at Kensington Palace have known for months. Catherine gave birth to a child in complete secrecy, away from the cameras, the press, and, some claim, even the immediate reach of the crown. This peaceful delivery has sent shockwaves through the monarchy and beyond, especially for a lady whose every action is rehearsed, every appearance studied, and every pregnancy scrutinized. Catherine's protracted vacation from royal responsibilities has been rumored for more than a year. We were informed that it was related to abdominal surgery. But what if it is only half of the truth? What if the operation was real, but the recuperation included something more private and risky to reveal? Multiple sources now indicate that the handover may have taken place at a rural estate in Norfolk, away from the prying eyes of photographers and palace security officers. While much information remains hidden behind royal walls, the implications of that silence are increasingly becoming public knowledge. Not only was the world kept in the dark, but so did the crown. And this is when the tale shifts from intimate to political. Did Prince William know? Was the kid created because of fear, disobedience, or necessity? Is this infant now a genuine successor or a royal outcast? Royal watchers are seeing this as a constitutional crisis in the making, but Catherine looks to be dealing with something considerably more personal. Behind the tears, the closed doors, and the icy comments from Buckingham Palace, there is the heart of a mother, one who may have risked her title, marriage, and perhaps her life to bring another child into the world on her own terms. This isn't just a narrative about birth. This is the story of a woman fighting the monarchy, one contraction, secret, and tear at a time. On July 8, 2025, the world awakened to an unbelievable news. Catherine, Princess of Wales, had secretly given birth to her fourth child, away from hospital spotlights, royal photographers, and the constant gaze of the monarchy's media machine. There was no golden easel outside the Lindo wing. There was no concerted press statement that followed. There was only silence, until it all ended at once. The news came via an anonymous source to a high-ranking foreign journalist who claimed that a royal kid had been born months earlier, in the spring, at a secret countryside estate in Norfolk, a closely guarded area, but not by royal security, by Catherine's companions who were fiercely devoted, quiet, and intensely protective. Within hours, other allegations surfaced, including murmurs of a midwife flown in under strong non-disclosure agreements, hospital-grade equipment moved at night, and a birth certificate that had yet to be publicly recorded. The consequences were astounding. If this is accurate, Catherine has disguised a pregnancy not just from the worldwide press, but also from inside the monarchy. It posed the most pressing question: who knew? The first conjecture concentrated on William. Some insiders stated he had no knowledge until the last few weeks of the pregnancy. Others said he helped organize the quiet, protecting his wife from the institution's renowned tyranny. For the time being, the reality is murky. But what is evident is that this birth was no accident, nor was it just a communication breakdown. It was purposeful, calculated, and motivated by an unexpected amount of mistrust. The press found the lie both astounding and unusual. Throughout her previous pregnancies, Catherine had strictly adhered to royal tradition. She smiled at photo calls, posed with infants only hours after delivery, and let her womb become a source of public intrigue, but not this time. This time, there were no handshakes, hairdressers, or Lindo wing waves. There was just absence. In retrospect, the indications are obvious: the extended recovery period following surgery, the choice to withdraw from public appearances for nearly a year, and the closely managed picture ops, always staged, remote, and brief. When questioned, palace officials provided cryptic explanations, frequently invoking Catherine's health and the need for solitude. But behind the scenes, tensions were rising. Leaked communications from top staff members indicate an internal panic as reports of the birth began to emerge in late June. Emergency meetings were convened at Sandringham. Clarence House delivered a clear refusal. However, the truth was already leaking out, and with it, control over the narrative. To make matters even more combustible, early indications indicate that the Royal Communications Office was entirely taken off surprise. According to one assistant, "We were not informed of anything. We hadn't even drafted a statement. We only learned when the press began calling. Then came the cruelest twist. The child's birth certificate, which had yet to be issued to the public, was supposed to mention no royal title at all. No HRH, prince, or princess. Just one name, and the surname Cambridge. If this is accurate, it would imply that Catherine took a deliberate choice to remove this kid from the royal hierarchy entirely, to give birth, not to a future ruler, but to a kid she could raise independently. The firm never saw this child coming, and in doing so, she may have just rewritten the laws of royal parenthood, not during a speech, not during a controversy. However, a silent act of disobedience snuck through palace gates and is now ringing throughout the world. For months, the globe has been asking the same question: where is Catherine? The once omnipresent Princess of Wales, famous for her bright public appearances and unwavering grace, had gone from view. Initially, Kensington Palace mentioned a planned abdominal surgery in January 2024, followed by an exceptionally protracted recuperation time. However, when weeks grew into months and ultimately into a whole year, anxiety developed into conjecture, which turned into something more dangerous: conspiracy. Some thought she was terribly ill. Others suggested that she was being silenced. Reports of a hidden birth have led to a new notion that reshapes the timeline. Catherine did not vanish, but rather went into hiding. According to various royal household sources, Catherine retreated from public life for emotional survival rather than physical grounds. She had spent years playing the perfect duchess, princess, and wife. But within the palace gates, she was under unbearable strain. Each kid she had was inspected. Every look is analyzed. Every phrase was scrutinized by tabloids and insiders alike. So, when rumors circulated in late 2023 that she was pregnant again, without the palace's consent or media coordination, Catherine took a tragic decision. She would go on her own terms. According to insiders, this pregnancy was significantly more physically demanding than her previous three. According to sources aware of her medical records, she suffered from severe hyperemesis gravidarum, the same terrible kind of morning sickness she had experienced in previous pregnancies. However, this time it was exacerbated by worry, solitude, and what some refer to as a breach of trust with senior royals such as Camilla and Charles. Catherine had no safe spot, not even within the palace. Friends claim she became increasingly distant, terrified that information about her health might be leaked, misconstrued, or abused. She didn't trust anyone anymore, a longtime aide said. Not the staff, not the institution, not the PR machine, just a handful of people, and even that circle was shrinking. During this period, according to accounts, she began preparing the framework for a private birth away from the monarchy's control. She withdrew to Norfolk, where she was protected by intimate friends and non-royal servants while on medical leave. With no official cars, paparazzi tip-offs, or hospital photo opportunities, she was free to accomplish what no senior royal had done in decades: give birth in solitude. However, it came at a cost. Catherine's decision to move away from public life sparked outrage, with some tabloids accusing her of abandoning her responsibilities. Online rumors became crueler by the week, with some even claiming she was already dead or being imprisoned against her will. Throughout it all, the palace kept mute, refusing to confirm or refute any information that may expose the truth. With the discovery of the hidden birth, everything has a new significance. Catherine was not recovering from a routine surgery. She was making a deeply personal, emotionally charged decision to bring a child into the world outside of the crown's control. And in doing so, she may have walked away from not just her public image, but also from the rigorous role that the monarchy attempted to impose on her for more than a decade. Because withdrawing is not always a sign of weakness, it may be the first step toward regaining control of your life. From the outside, Prince William has always seemed unflappable, stoic, duty-bound, and the future king-in-waiting. However, behind closed doors, the secret birth of a fourth kid apparently drove his life into a tailspin. And not because he didn't want the child. The fact that it had to be concealed from the institution he was meant to serve may have damaged something in him as well. Multiple royal officials have reported William as visibly shaken when he first learned about Catherine's pregnancy, which apparently began some months ago. According to one insider, he was heartbroken that she didn't tell him right away. But when he realized why she thought she couldn't, he was crushed in a different manner, because this indicated that the system had broken her. According to those close to the marriage, William's attitude was one of strong protectiveness and terrible shame. He allegedly intervened quickly, protecting her from the firm's media arm, assisting in the organization of private protection surrounding her residence, and restricting access to royal servants. However, palace insiders have begun to talk about another side of this story, one that is worse, because while William hastened to protect Catherine, others believe he was also part of the reason she concealed the pregnancy in the first place. Rumors about William's purported emotional detachment circulated even before Catherine's public absence. In late 2023, photographers photographed him attending occasions alone, notably without his wedding band. Worryingly, a revived story from 2019 about his supposed romance with Lady Rose Hanbury began spreading again after Catherine disappeared. While the palace has never acknowledged or rejected the allegations, Catherine's unexpected quiet and departure from royal life reignited the rumors. Was she merely keeping her child from the media, or was she shielding herself from a marriage that was slowly deteriorating under pressure? According to one Kensington Palace insider, the birth of the fourth child became more than just a personal moment. It became a symbol, a test of allegiance, a test of love, and perhaps a test of whether William would choose his wife over the institution he was educated to defend. And according to those close to the case, William has not passed that test without hesitation. Although he helped cover up the technicalities of Catherine's departure, it is alleged he insisted the kid not be publicly acknowledged, at least not right away. What's the reasoning? He feared how his father and stepmother would react, according to one royal biographer. And worse, he feared what the press would do with it. However, Catherine, who was fatigued and emotionally raw, may have seen this as betrayal. She wanted William to fight for her, to be loud, the person explained. But all she got was silence. Insiders believe the schism between them has grown since the child was born. They are rarely seen together. Public appearances are meticulously arranged. Separate beds, meetings, and even advisors have become the norm. Nonetheless, those closest to William think he is disturbed by the position, attempting to reconcile the two aspects of his identity, prince and partner, heir and husband. However, he may eventually realize that maintaining the monarchy and safeguarding his children's mother are no longer synonymous. And now, with the world watching, he must answer a question that might determine the rest of his life. Did he forsake the lady who delivered him 4 children in order to save a collapsing crown? If there is one thing Queen Camilla has always sought, it is control over her image, the palace narrative, and, most importantly, the heritage of the monarchy she fought to establish. So when word surfaced that a senior royal kid had been delivered without the palace's knowledge or approval, it was seen as more than simply a violation of protocol. Camilla saw it as a personal betrayal and allegedly raged behind closed doors. According to a senior courtier, Camilla was absolutely livid when news of Catherine's secret birth spread. Not only had she been kept in the dark, but the royal press machine had been made to appear inept, caught off guard by a scandal with little time to spin. She saw it as a direct challenge to her authority, the insider stated. She has worked hard to influence public perception and keep control over palace optics. This blasted it wide open. Within hours of the leak, Clarence House held emergency meetings to plan damage management, rather than to demonstrate concern for Catherine's well-being. According to one internal document, the youngster was referred to as an unsanctioned narrative complication, which alarmed even experienced employees. Another cited the need to evaluate future visibility protocols for the Princess of Wales. Camilla wanted Catherine silenced again, but it did not end there. King Charles, who is infamous for losing his fury when caught off guard, is claimed to have issued a strong ultimatum to William in a private phone call immediately after the news surfaced. According to a royal household insider, Charles asked that either this child be brought into the fold with full transparency, or Catherine steps back from her public duties indefinitely. In other words, identify the child as a king or face banishment. The irony, of course, is oppressive. After decades of defending his own adulterous scandals, Charles was now punishing his daughter-in-law for doing what she thought was necessary to rescue her kid from the same system that had consumed Diana. Camilla, meantime, is said to have advocated for even severe penalties. One palace aide leaked that she wanted the child's birth certificate sealed indefinitely, and even suggested Catherine be stripped of her HRH title for what she called a gross violation of royal trust. While that suggestion was dismissed, reportedly by William himself, it demonstrates the depth of the resentment. But the real question is, why the outrage? Some argue that it has nothing to do with titles or tradition. Instead, they say Camilla and Charles are afraid of something more serious, losing control of the narrative. For years, they have meticulously built a monarchy with clean lines and a defined hierarchy. A child conceived in secret, without their permission, threatens to shatter that image and may permanently change public support toward Catherine. And based on the public reaction, their suspicions are warranted. Within 48 hours of the news emerging, hashtags like #KateDidItRight and #ProtectCatherine was trending globally. Online forums and news channels were swamped with sympathy for the Princess of Wales, who was presented as a mother pushed to the limit rather than a rebel. Camilla may be queen in name, but if the situation worsens, she may lose the crown she worked so hard to keep, not to Catherine, but to the people who no longer believe in the kingdom she guards. Because in a war between palace power and maternal instinct, the world has chosen a queen, and she is not Camilla. As the dust settles around the royal shockwave, one question stands out above the rest. Who is this child? Born in secret, reared in secrecy, and shielded from the cameras, this fourth member of the Wales family has the potential to change the whole line of succession, or vanish totally from the royal record. According to sources close to Kensington Palace, the child is a girl born in late March 2025 under private medical care at an estate near Anmer Hall. She is healthy. No formal birth certificate has been issued. Nobody's name has been made public, and no royal title has yet been bestowed, which contradicts every modern-day norm regulating royal births. Why the secrecy? One notion circulating in diplomatic circles is that Catherine purposefully opted not to give the kid an HRH title or any title at all. In doing so, she would relieve the child of royal responsibilities, essentially sheltering her from public duty, press scrutiny, and the expectations that crushed Princess Diana and nearly engulfed Catherine. But there's another option, one that has palace insiders scurrying. If this kid is biologically William's, as all reports indicate, and no legal device is put in place to exclude her, she will automatically be fifth in line to the throne after George, Charlotte, and Louis. That would put Prince Harry and his children farther down the line, perhaps escalating the already fragile relationship between the Sussexes and the throne. And if this kid is publicly acknowledged, the palace will have to address a truly difficult question. Why was her birth withheld at all? According to reports, royal legal experts are reviewing constitutional processes in preparation for the child's official introduction. Even a mild acknowledgement is expected to trigger a public protest, not just over the secrecy, but also over the monarchy's treatment of Catherine in the run-up to the birth. The optics are damning. A princess so unsupported and distrustful of the crown that she chooses to give birth alone, away from the institution designed to protect her. However, inside Catherine's group, this child is being referred to as her second chance. One source stated, "This baby represents something deeply personal to Catherine. It is not about the crown. It's about restoring what she's lost, her agency, her identity, and maybe even her tranquility." The kid is apparently being reared separate from the royal household, in a secluded home surrounded by long-term Middleton family personnel. There are no royal nannies. There's no palace protocol. There are no picture opportunities in the mornings. A woman and her child are restoring their trust in a world that has wronged them. Some feel Catherine will never introduce this kid to the public. Others believe she is waiting, carefully and quietly, for the proper moment. Perhaps when William gathers the guts to stand by her. Perhaps when the monarchy fully admits what it has done, or maybe not at all. Only one thing is certain: the child exists. With each passing day, her influence on the monarchy's destiny rises. Because whether she remains in the shadows or finally emerges into the light, this tiny child has already altered history. Not with a title, not wearing a tiara. However, her entire existence serves as a live reminder that even within the most powerful family on earth, the most rebellious act is just being born free. As the world reacts to the discovery of Catherine's hidden fourth child, one reality becomes clear. This is more than a personal crisis. It is a constitutional earthquake. And as the palace scrambles to recover control, fissures in the monarchy's basis begin to appear in plain front of the public. Public opinion has evolved tremendously. Whereas before the crown commanded quiet, it today faces opposition. Social media is blazing with support for the Princess of Wales. #Kate did it right. #let her be a mother. And even #crown Catherine now, all trending globally. People across generations and nations see a lady forced to choose between protecting her kid and perpetuating an antiquated institution, not a wayward royal. Catherine's deed was not a revolt for power. It was a display of maternal defiance, an unwillingness to surrender another kid to the icy system that consumed Diana, injured Meghan, and has now driven even the most revered royal figure of her age to the brink. Camilla and Charles's reputations are withering under the weight of palace arrogance. Their chilly attitude, fixation with narrative control, and evident lack of empathy have only proven what detractors have long suspected. This monarchy is not defending its family, but rather itself. And then there is William, a prince divided between two realities. The prince who once promised to modernize the monarchy now faces the same choice that his mother put on his father: family or the throne. The monarchy, as it currently exists, may not survive the response, because, in the tranquility of a private estate in Norfolk, there suddenly lives a kid with no crown, title, or public duty, only the strong love of a mother who has had enough. And that youngster, unbeknownst to the outside world, might be the most powerful individual the royal family has never identified, a future shaped by love rather than lineage. As Catherine hugs her daughter away from the flashing cameras and oppressive procedure, the world begins to grasp what the monarchy continues to deny. Sometimes the greatest act of monarchy is just declaring no more.